Alright, so here's my little reptile room. I've moved him in here because it's easier to control the temperature and humidity and basically the climate of the cage in this little room. So let me back up here. So I've got UV lamp 5.0 back there in the back that's down to the side so I can get in. I've got another UVB light right there. And then I've got between 150 watt and a 75 UVA bulb right there. So here's his little cage. And so I'm pretty meticulous about his cleanliness of his little cage here, enclosure. Under here we have a little ceramic plate tile that goes in a house, and then he can climb under there. He loves to dig, and it got his water bowl up top because there's just not a lot of room. This is about a 3 foot by 1.5 foot by 2 foot, so it's a rather large glass terrarium. So, but he goes under here and he loves to dig and get under here and hang out under there and come in and out and play tag with me when I'm trying to pick him up. And then here is pretty unusual, just my tree bark. And then he loves to go in there in the evening time when he's had enough UVB and UVA light, and he goes in here and he will, let's see here, he will barricade himself in there. So it's so crazy. He goes in there and burrows in there and shuts off the entrance. So I guess no light and humidity stays high in there, and so funny. But he goes in there and sleeps till the next day. I mean, 15 hours. But and then here's his hot side, and then he has a secondary spot under there on the hot side where he can go under there and get some shade. But still, the temperature of the stones from the light stay rather high. Um, Overall, the cage does not get super hot. I found that my little guy, likes I've added some dirt and some clay to some of the reptile store-bought, um, you know, substrate, and then so now that I've added the clay and the dirt, keep the humidity a little bit closer to about 60, 65, and the temp. He doesn't like it when it's 100 in here. It's more about 85, 90, and then he likes it, about 70 at night. So that's about where we're at, just with the lights turned off for a while. Just turned everything on here just to make the video. But yeah, and he's got a little space heater underneath. When it was getting cooler, in the 50s, a few weeks ago, and just up to a couple days ago, I have that heater and it's just set on low or very low amount so that it will pop on if it gets below 60. And then here I've got his little little timer, or actually, hang on here. This is controls the heat to the reptile pad that's over there in that corner, and extends out to the to his little hideout here. So it's in the back and it goes all the way out to about right here. And so you can set this, and it sticks to the bottom of the tank, and it just provides some heat. I mean, it says it's at 100 degrees, and you can come in here and I've got it set at 103, and this just regulates that heat of that pad. So you can set that and come in and hit set, and it'll set it and it'll drop that temp down. Or you can come in and raise that back up, press and hold it, and raise that back up, and then press the set button again, and then it'll show that it is getting that heat back up to catch up to that 103. So yeah, that's my setup. And then I just have this on a timer, so the lights turn off and on without me having to be down here and always maintaining the lights. So, and then up top I just have a little bit of storage up here. Got his humidity water bottle and some different things up there that I can just store. So, all right, here's my little little Tegu, and here he is in his cage. But today I'm going to feed him earthworms, and he goes crazy for earthworms. So here's the earthworm. Let him see that. He gobbles them up. I only feed him one of these, every couple of days, but man, he loves his earthworms. Those things have to stay alive in his stomach and crawl around. They're pretty energetic earthworms. They come from Canada, and I bought these from PetSmart, so they're supposedly pet grade, pet raised, or not, pet animal reptile grade earthworms. So captive bred up in Canada. So I think that's good instead of just wild caught earthworms that could have parasites in them. So so these are about $5 for 12 or 13, and they have different sizes. They have the larger ones, and then they have a little bit smaller ones. But they were out of the smaller ones, so these are I can't remember the names between the two different worms. So these are the more the nightcrawler type earthworms, so the bigger ones. But yeah, he loves them, and then he goes and chills out for a while, and I guess lets that slowly digest. So he loves his superworms. He will run after my hand with a superworm. This is probably like number 4. See, he will follow my hand. He'll actually jump up and try to get it from my hand. He loves superworms. You can see from my hand, he will thinks I'm feeding him. So you got to get him out of that feeding mode before you pick him up, because he will he will mistake. He's smelling with his tongue, and he'll recognize pretty quickly. But I mean, there's little room for error there. So he's a pretty nice little Tegu. Okay, this is something that I've adopted here. This is a chopstick, and I've just sharpened up the front, not to a needle point, but just enough so I can stick fruit on there. So I feed most of his fruit. He's still pretty small, so he doesn't consume a whole lot of fruit. Maybe two, three, four of pieces this size per his size. So he's about 15 inches long. So instead of feeding him with my fingers or my hand, and having the mistake made and him launching when he gets in his little kind of feeding frenzy, and latching onto my finger, so I adopt this. So let me see if I've already fed him 3 pieces, and let me see if I can coax him back out and see if he'll eat this. Let me see if I can nudge him to come out. There he is. So let's see. He may be full. Hopefully you can see that there. And that's how I feed him with a little chopstick. I get these when I go eat uh, sushi, and so I have plenty of them around. I didn't have to go buy tongs, and these are bamboo or wood, so if he bites onto it with his teeth, it's not going to jeopardize his health. So yeah, I just put that in front of him, and if he wants the food, he just takes it off of it. And if he doesn't, then he just usually closes his eyes and acts like he's fallen asleep. So, very entertaining reptile, and it's a lot of fun to have. So, okay, so just after a few minutes of leaving him alone, he makes the decision to go into his little hide here, and he barricades himself in there, pushes the dirt up so nothing can get in. I don't know if that's just a safety precaution that they like to do so that nothing can come in easily and bother them. But yeah, he goes in there. He doesn't go into this one as much because it's more open, but this is where he sleeps at night, and yeah, I just find it kind of funny. Um, and then as he burrows in here, this comes up to the top right here, and it goes all the way back to about right here, and it just kind of arcs down into the dirt, and so he sleeps in a ball about right here, and he burrows in there, and as he burrows and digs, he makes little cave-ins, and this adds additional air. And one usually happens about right here, a pretty decent one, and now right about here as he burrows in there and digs that dirt to take it to the entrance and kind of shut that off. And so yeah, I just find that very interesting. These are land instead of arboreal or up in the trees. They're more terrestrial. So he spends most of his time on the ground, and they burrow a lot and dig, and then these reptiles also, they'll hibernate when it gets in the wintertime. They'll dig a deep burrow into the ground, into the dirt, and there they will sleep for 3, 4, maybe even 5 months, and they will not eat and drink very much water, and they hibernate. So that's kind of interesting too, that they'll dig burrows deep, maybe a foot down into the ground, and there's some bark or some foliage in the natural environment. So interesting stuff.